Television.com group, which is celebrating its 22nd year in 2022. Right now, we are 21 years old. We are very happy to bring you this afternoon's webinar on monetizing video even better in this current environment, with digital expanding so rapidly, publishers seeing so much rapid uptake of consumption of news and of other modes of entertainment online. There's a great opportunity as far as publishers are concerned, as far as brands are concerned, and as far as technology providers are concerned, to help give the viewer that much of a pleasant experience when they are logging onto websites and watching videos. Monetization is crucial, and using the video along with video ads is also very crucial. Of course, there are other players who are looking at subscription as a revenue stream, but normally I think in this day and age, you probably have to find a hybrid model where you have both subscription as well as advertising to back you up. Thank you for informing me. My video was off, but it's okay. You haven't missed much. So yeah, Anil Vanwari again. So we've got a fabulous afternoon ahead of us. I have a very young and dynamic and a cricket lover from England, who's actually looks after the APAC region for AnyView to kick off the afternoon. His name's Matthew Bray, and he's going to present to us on what the solutions that AnyView has as far as publishers are concerned, and how they can monetize much better using video and the inventory available on different online destinations. Matt, over to you. Let's play ball. Come on.
Oh, thanks, Anil. So I'm just going to share my screen very quickly. Right, so the webinar today is about bridging video monetization. So I was just going to talk very briefly about some of the opportunities for advertisers and websites in India, and also introduce AnyView and some of the customers that we have as well. So just briefly about the video advertising landscape in India. India is one of the fastest growing markets for AnyView. We believe it's probably the fastest growing internet advertising market in the world. The number of smartphone users in India is expected to reach around 700 million. And video is the most popular ad format in India. It's probably the 6th largest market in the world in terms of the consumption of video ads. So just introducing AnyView very quickly. AnyView is an end-to-end monetization platform for desktop and mobile web traffic. So AnyView technology is already in thousands of websites around the world. Some of our clients include companies like Outbrain and Unruly. So AnyView is considered one of the most popular video outstream solutions in the world. So it includes a video content management system. So this enables websites to manage their own videos, but also to bring other video assets into their sites. We have a very powerful video player, which allows the creation of formats of any size and behavior. We provide video monetization to publishers, so we can deliver premium video campaigns. We provide them with an ad server, so this lets them control the back end of the platform. So it means that any networks, SSPs, or advertisers they work with, they can connect to the platform. And finally, AnyView has a very powerful yield optimization tool. So this basically will determine how different advertisers connected to the platform should be called. And the aim of it is to increase the CPM and fill rate. So having been in the India market for some time now, we've noticed that there are a few reasons which cause very consistent revenue loss for publishers. So the first is a poor content experience. So we find that a lot of the time when we see video players running on sites, the content which is being played is not really particularly interesting to the user. This can often lead to, it just leads to fewer video views and therefore less ad opportunities. You often have very heavy players, which can damage the user experience and cause long page load time. Players will frequently load out of position or load slowly. Again, this can cause a loss of inventory. Inventory loss is a major problem that we see. So with some sites, we even see discrepancies between their reporting and ad units of 30, 40% and above. This means that that inventory is basically never sold. There's a general lack of transparency into a lot of systems. So particularly websites can't see how their traffic is sold. They can't really control that part either so well. Non-adherence to Google policies. So Google is by far the largest SSP in India for publishers wanting to deliver video to their sites. So you see a lot of the time, publishers not adhering to Google policy can cause severe revenue loss because it just means that your inventory won't be bought. And although a lot of publishers will use their own Google AdX very extensively to buy display advertising on their sites, a lot of them still don't really utilize it very much for video. So they will be creating video inventory or creating units, and they just won't be buying from it with their own Google account. So you can use AnaView to drive higher video revenues in a number of ways. So the first is you can create a better content experience. So you can create video players which are going to be more engaging to users and create more video views. You have a video player which you can actually control, so you can minimize the page load time. You can create high impact formats, which again are going to create more inventory for you. You can connect any of your partners into the system as well. So if you work with networks, SSPs, Google, you can connect them all in, and then our yield optimization tool will determine how they should be called to increase the CPM and fill. You have full transparency into the system as well. So the big way that this has helped a lot of our publishers is it's enabled them to eliminate their discrepancies. So it's meant that anytime they're not selling their traffic or anytime there's an issue, they can immediately see and rectify the problem. We also provide a AdOps service. So if for whatever reason you feel you're unable to operate the platform yourself, then our team will be able to do it for you. AnaView is also a fully self-serve platform if you want to run direct campaigns or generally operate it yourselves. And finally, for AnaView, there are no streaming costs. So a big issue that we see with a lot of sites in India is they're very reluctant to run video across their sites because of the streaming costs they might occur. With AnaView, we don't charge streaming costs, so you can deliver video across all of your pages without having to worry about that. So I was just going to briefly talk about one of our customers in India, just to highlight how the system can be deployed very successfully. So it's Jagran New Media, who I'm sure most of you have probably heard of. There are news, media, and entertainment publishers running several sites in India. Before using AnaView, they were having a few problems with their video advertising business. So the first was poor video ad performance. So Jagran have quite an extensive display business. Compared to the revenue they were making with display, their video revenues were in general very, very low. They had no transparency or control over the system. Jagran were experiencing major discrepancies between their own reporting and ad units, which they found difficult to resolve because they weren't really controlling the player. And Jagran had no flexibility to connect their own AdX or any of their other partners into the system. So Jagran deployed AnaView to solve a lot of these problems. So the first is that Jagran were able to control the content experience. They could engage their users more by showing their own content and promoting their own video libraries and generally showing people what, more of what they wanted to see. Jagran had complete control over the player as well. If there were any changes needed to make because of, for example, direct campaigns or I don't know, there are other reasons, they could do those immediately. They had full transparency and access to the reporting. As we've talked about, that can solve quite a few issues. They could connect their own AdX and any other programmatic partners that they like. In this case, it's a very plug and play integration. You just need to set the floor price. It means that Jagran don't keep having to change different ad units around or integrate new JavaScripts whenever they want to work with another partner. It's much more plug and play into the player they control. And as you can see, it's a full white label branded as Jagran TV. So the design is in keeping with all their sites. So the results of this partnership, Jagran are experiencing very low discrepancies now. I believe it's below 5%. The advertising revenue has increased more than 2 times for the ad slots that Jagran are running AnaView in. The fill rate for September has been 120%. Jagran are experiencing a lower page load time. Jagran have longer player sessions because their users are generally much more engaged. And for any direct campaigns, because the whole platform is fully controlled by Jagran, they can respond to any requirements very quickly. So there are a few conclusions that that we've drawn so far from our work in India. The first is that many publishers in India leak video revenue on a pretty regular basis. A lot of publishers in India will often underutilize their own video content. So in some cases, publishers will have very, very extensive content libraries, but actually very little of the video content is seen by their users. There's a general trend that a poor content experience will reduce video inventory. If you fully control a video player, it can lead to an increase in revenue in the midterm for the reasons we've gone into. And Google will likely remain the dominant SSP for video for the near future. So the success of any advertising system for video in India, if you want to see consistent fills, it has to be compliant with Google. So thank you for the time. A free trial of AnaView platforms available to any publisher. AnaView is fully compliant with Google DFP, Ad Manager, and AdX, so deploying it is very straightforward. And thank you for the time. I think we can maybe begin the panel discussion.
Thanks, Matthew. I think that was pretty clear about what you were communicating. I think I'd like to begin by asking Prasad. Prasad, what's your perspective on Matthew had to say? Do you believe you're using inventory and your video, content effectively enough? Do you think, the problems that Matthew highlighted, is it commonplace?
I think some of the problems that Matthew highlighted are very commonplace. I think underutilization of inventory, for example, is something that plagues almost all publishers in India, more legacy publishers than the new age ones. That is also to do with the fact that legacy publishers have grown organically at a time when video wasn't front and center of their content strategy. So while the strategy has evolved and the content creation has happened, the monetization and the optimization of revenues haven't quite caught up. And I think all of us are looking at avenues where we can sort of have more control over our video assets and therefore monetize them better, because video assets are typically more expensive to create than for a legacy publisher, at least. It requires additional investment and additional effort. So to that extent, yes, it's a common problem. And it's something that I think all of us are tackling in our own different ways.
Okay, Satyajit, your perspective on this?
It's more or less the same. We too have a lot of video inventory which goes unutilized because Google Ad Manager by itself is not able to deliver ads to every single person clicking on a video. So the utilization ranges between 80 to 85%. That's it. The rest of it gets lost every day. So that's inventory that we would ideally like to monetize well. We have a platform which is freemium. So the free users, we need to monetize it well. The rest of it is taken care by the subscriptions.
No, I get it. So, but you don't have a mixed model where even the subscribers get to see some.
No.
Not at all.
No, not at all.
Okay, you're not taking cue from Hotstar, which forces viewers to watch cricket with ads.
In sporting, at least in the breaks, there is a time when the users can as well watch ads. But I'm part of a platform which is just delivering entertainment content. So there's no concept of a free time in between.
Oh, that's pretty sad. So Dinesh, he highlighted your case. What did you all try before, getting a solution like AnyView to work with you all? What were you all trying before that? Did you all have he mentioned the problems you all had. Which of the problems have been resolved? 5% is a much better figure than the higher numbers you had earlier in terms of unutilized video inventory, etc. So what had you all tried before you all tried AnyView?
Correct. So for Jagran, we tried many players, kind of, not from the, we were trying like, from a driving seat, you should have a control, like, straining everything, everything you can see in the car you should have. But previously, there are a lot of partners, they were utilizing their, our content, they were driving or any kind of a category, sort of, in terms of viewability and every metrics you can say. And the visibility was not there in terms of dashboard, in terms of optimization, in terms of, putting Google and all, because we are already using Google 360 as a premium for us as well. So with AnyView, we got kind of a, white label solution. On that, we kind of deployed our ad exchange plus network plus SSPs, whatever, the partner we already engaged with. We already have a direct connection with them. So initially, we got kind of a handhold from AnyView, but later on, we also have an ad ops team here. So they were managing all these, the best category we had, like, you have a tech category or you have a kind of a, because Jagran already have a lot of video content from ourselves. So a lot of additional video inventory got created for direct sales, So on the overall, what we did, the primary reason was for direct sales. We created kind of inventory. We deployed a lot of direct campaign. Apart from that, the lower side, the AdX was there, which was filling that inventory gap. And apart from that, Rubicon, PubMatic, all these partners came in picture, and we got, leverage of revenue. So whatever revenues were there in the past, we got 2 or 3 times month on month in terms of, you can say. So additional revenues we created by, that player, definitely. And hand holding in terms of, switching off and off, PLT load on the pages side, there is a tier 2, tier 3 kind of a sort of cities always, you need to create separate segmentation for that as well. So lower kind of, content you are creating for that one, putting, small pieces of content as per the category, as per the geo. So these kind of a little, pointers which we know initially, and we kind of are missing in terms of, driving that kind of a seed, right? Now we know what kind of content we are creating, what kind of videos we have, what kind of audience we have. As per se, we are also segmenting that kind of a, videos and player and, viewability as well. So that's how we can, upside the revenues most of the time. So that's kind of leverage we got from the AnyView, and this going strong as of now. Yeah.
Fantastic. Thank you for being so free about your experience. Now I'm going to talk to Vikas and to Jahid. Jahid, as a advertiser, plus you also have a platform. I'm a little surprised that HDFC it's not using the traffic that it has to monetize for itself, especially on your apps and on your website itself. Hopefully someday you will, and that'll be another revenue stream that you'll have created. But coming back to your guys, so what are the challenges you all face when you'll go onto platforms, especially the publishers like the ones who are present here, in terms of delivering video communication that you'll want to? Who'd like to begin? Jahid, you begin, and then Vikas can come in after that.
Sure, I think it's good. See, more than we are kind of platform agnostic, what we really kind of go ahead with to first evaluate is primarily if it's a video, okay, what is the viewability and VTR, specifically the VTR of that particular video in that particular environment where we are trying to kind of showcase that. Okay. Now, if it is a hardcore scroll medium or if it's a interruption medium, big time, okay, then should we just go ahead with the banner-led inventory? Because we also, from a full funnel approach, we very strictly define what is the role of a video vis-a-vis what is the role of a banner. Okay. So even that comes in picture, okay, we kind of then articulate, okay, this video is supposed to be more of the campaign approach and the campaign viewability. Okay, that should be taken into consideration. Nobody expects, there is a certain element of it, but nobody's expecting traffic coming out of video. So video is more of a high octane visibility campaign to ensure that the brand messaging comes handy. It's kind of the top is happening at its level. So which are the platforms which is really helping us to enable a good reach, high on context, to has very good affinity of my audience to this particular segment, right? And then obviously the whole aspect of the BLS integration, which gives me a very good detailed growth of it, right? Sorry. So if a platform is giving me all these things, okay, that is the place, because see, generally if you're making a 30-seconder, 45-seconder, okay, if I'm making a thumb stopper, I know I'm making a thumb stopper for a high octane scrollable medium like a Facebook. Okay, if I'm making a 35-seconder, okay, then I know which are the places where a 35-seconder will really be consumed. Okay, now publishers today are somewhere in between. I don't know a vertical thumb stopper will work, or I don't know a 35-seconder will work. So we really don't know that are people actually sitting and watching the entire VTR over there. Like in YouTube, a very clear strategy of what's happening on the OTT platforms. We are seeing a very good viewable ratio. Okay, so that's where we have to try to evolve to in terms of identifying which platforms we should be showing the videos. That helps us to kind of take a good decision.
Okay, Vikas?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, I'll extend from what Jahid said. I think when we look at the brands that we work with and how they look at video, I think definitely the viewability and also looking at the attribution of whether there's been a brand lift, that definitely plays a huge role, which is why, we tend to actually use programmatic channels to be able to use some of Google's video partners and Outstream video partners, because that's what allows you to then leverage those publishers' video inventory, but at the same time bring in trackability and attribution. Because without the trackability, without the attribution, and without a way to actually compare apple to apple with multiple publishers, it's actually quite challenging to actually partner with lots of different publishers. So programmatic to some extent helps solve that solution for brands and advertisers. And the same thing on the supply side solves it for those publishers. And we're actually seeing Outstream do really, really well across the board. And in fact, even for click-through rate, which Jahid said is not a focus, but actually we're also seeing clicks and the CTR is actually being pretty decent on the Outstream videos that Google is now starting to deliver. But the scale is still very, very small, and maybe with solutions that publishers scale up their video inventory and video monetization, that inventory needs to relatively scale up for advertisers to actually see it as a viable option to scale and do large campaigns. Today, it's still a very, very small part of what any programmatic channel would be able to deliver for advertisers.
No, but Matt was saying it's really growing very fast in India, video advertising. So, so what's going to help bring about that difference that you'll need?
Yeah, I think one is definitely in terms of the content itself, and as I think was being mentioned earlier, I think for some of the more traditional media platforms, I think creating that video inventory is not that easy, right? So being able to create that content on a daily basis, putting it out there, that's probably why the inventory and the ability for advertisers to use that platform is relatively limited, because social and other platforms have so much user-generated content, whereas here the publisher has to create content almost on a daily basis. And I think that's probably, in my view, the biggest roadblock, because advertisers are more than happy to explore it as long as there's an attribution and a trackability of both the views and the clicks and what's happening to my ad, but the inventory available is still very, very small.
And maybe in the same breath, which just to add on to Vikas, one key thing will be if today we have to advertise, I need a one view of the entire spread, the dissemination of the videos that's happening. Okay, because the audience is pretty much there everywhere, the same audience, right? So yes, programmatic. So how can I have a overarching suppression? How can I have a overall monitoring of the overall exposure of the video? I should not exceed 7 across platforms. Okay. So if those kind of, the regulations can be drawn apart from the basic of viewability and all those jazz. Okay. I think that gives a lot of confidence, that in terms of rolling out a video across platforms and not only to a couple of streams.
Okay, Matt, you're listening to them. Your turn to give us feedback on what they had to say.
Right. Okay. Well, I mean, I guess we're more focused on the publisher side, to be honest. But I mean, the way that AnaView works, or what we've seen for video campaigns in India, there's actually quite a good availability, particularly for mobile video campaigns. Even if you're just going to connect into programmatic channels, you can usually get pretty consistent fills and pretty consistent results. The issue seems to be mostly that publishers a lot of the time are just not creating this video inventory. They are putting, a lot of the content goes on YouTube, but actually on their own sites, it's very, very underutilized. So there are even, we've even worked with publishers that have, hundreds or thousands of videos and are creating all sorts of content every single day, but they just tend to put everything onto social, and their own sites don't really have any videos at all. So from our side, we mainly see the platform as a tool that publishers can use to create this video inventory and then to sell it, because getting the advertising is not so much of a problem.
No, but shouldn't, it's in your interest to actually propagate. I know I'm going to sound a little controversial to you, to propagate the right usage of, which is what you're trying to do today through this webinar that we put across, to actually create the right kind of content, to create enough content, be repeated in your initiatives behind it, invest in that so that in the medium to long term, you actually get a return on your investment in content. So what has your experience been in terms of when does one expect a return on your investment for a publisher in content? How much time does it take?
Right. Okay. Well, a lot of the publishers we work with have all the content anyway. I mean, they're all producing it. So it's not like they have to put resources into developing lots of other content. A lot of them already have it. They just don't use it on their sites. So
I get it, yeah. But I've seen, a lot of we are a publisher ourselves. We actually take pictures, we have a voiceover, and we make a video out of it. Okay. Some of the publishers, I've seen that even on The Guardian. You have actual video, but you also go for very low-hanging content, which is using visuals, having a voiceover, and that's content. So does that serve well, or do we need to have original video content being created? Are memes good enough content? What is good content?
Yeah, it depends. I mean, a lot of it is about the user experience. So as long as it's content that people are interested in seeing, and we can measure the KPIs and the metrics, then it should really work. So it doesn't have to be, you don't have to spend enormous amounts of money producing video content, but it just has to be acceptable to the advertisers, and then you have to have some sort of strategy to create it on a regular basis. But actually, a lot of publishers as well will use syndicated content, so they'll tap into content libraries even from other publishers, and just use that as well. So it's not a particularly difficult operation to run from what we've seen. I mean, as soon as a publisher has deployed AnaView, we've never had an issue getting content. There's so much content around in India, that's not really been the problem. The problem has more just been people not putting it onto websites.
Okay, so
if we just have to kind of, let's say, to Matt's point of view, see, the videos that you were talking about, right? Like, let's say I put a couple of JPEGs, make it into a flash with the background music. They work good for tactical campaigns. Okay, like there are 2 slates of highly tactical offer with a quick music, roll it out, 5-seconder, 10-seconder, that works well. But if it has to be a brand-led video, where I'm trying to kind of put a brand proposition in perspective to people's top mark, okay, that has to be a shoot. That takes time. Okay, and that is where the whole VTR concept comes into play. Like if I'm looking at publishers, okay, for more of a traffic, okay, not so much of a, because we are not expecting for people, see, people are there coming to OTT, coming to YouTube to consume a video advertisement is always interruption, that no doubt about that, but it's very context. I'm trying to watch a video has come in, it has kind of gone by. Okay. If I have to do a publisher-led video advertisement on a publisher, it has to be a quick 5-second, 6-second tactical. It then, what publisher, where we clients at times we go wrong is, if I'm trying to upload a 30-second video on a publisher, waiting people, and where I'm just kind of scrolling, even if I'm reading a news, I'm just scrolling the news. That's how mobile is, right? So I think that's where we go wrong, and that's why I think Matt's kind of coming into the perspective that which video to be used where. I think that also plays a significant role.
Yeah. So okay. Now, Prasad and Satyajit and Dinesh has found his answer. He found Nirvana with AnyView. You all two guys, the challenges of video, the challenges of being able to churn out the content. HT has been investing tremendously in content. I've seen that. How has that worked for you? How much time have you got a return on your investment? What plans are you putting in place? And then how are you going about offering a better delivery platform for video ads, which is what both Vikas and Jahid are asking. So beginning with Prasad.
Okay. So what we've done, okay, the journey for HT has been much like other publishers, right? At some point, all digital publishers thought, like, hey, let's create videos. Videos are cool things to do, right? For want of a better word. Now, at that point, you had social media, which offered you a quick fix in terms of some monetization, and you didn't have the ability to monetize on your platforms. Very often, you didn't have the tech ability to use players on your platforms, and therefore YouTube became the go-to. Now, in going to YouTube and then to Facebook and in a lot of these social media platforms, we've been able to monetize whatever video content we have on those platforms. What's not happened very effectively till now is monetization of that same content on our own platforms, right? Now, to that extent, I think most publishers have taken the owners, and in the top 10 or 12 publishers, at least, you will find that everybody has control of their own video players, which wasn't the case 5 years ago, or even 3 years ago with many people. We have much better delivery systems in place. We have better analytics in place. I think most of us have invested in analytics significantly for us to be able to offer that on a near real-time basis to our consumers, to our advertisers, to say that, hey, look, this is what the video is doing, this is what your ads are doing, right? And I think that transparency has helped. But we have a long way to go. We have, I think, evolutionarily, we've just hit the right directionally. We've realized what needs to be done, and we've taken the first couple of steps. Some miles to go yet on that journey before we get to a space where I think advertisers are really comfortable with us, as comfortable maybe they are with a Facebook or YouTube, because we are getting there with our videos piece, where we can segment our audiences, we can target our ads, we can show contextual videos to the right people, to the right cohorts. So we are also evolving in our journey of understanding our audiences and therefore becoming sharper with our solutions.
So what's the ratio of display to video for you all?
About 80-85%.
85 is display. Wow, that's pretty frightening, right?
But on a legacy publisher, you will have a frightening amount of content, right? So just maybe one site, and I mean, Hindustan Times as a media group would produce upwards of 10,000 pieces of written content in a day. So it's a frightening amount of content also, which is therefore giving you a lot of revenue.
Okay. We had Satyajit. So frightening stories, I believe, with cookies about to get cut and everything else coming in the future. Are you also highly reliant on display, apart from your subscription?
So we have a platform which is an OTT platform where we bring in both entertainment and news content onto the same, but it's largely video-led. Not largely, it's exclusively video-led. And so there is no issue in terms of delivering ads on it as pre-rolls, mid-rolls, etc. And we only encourage video ads. We don't encourage display ads at all. So in that sense, we are clear in terms of what we can offer as ads, and we are very clear in terms of our content also, because we have been monitoring the content regularly. We know which are the shows which attract a certain kind of audience, and we share that with the brands which come to advertise with us. So this bit is not so much of a problem with us, and we have a regular content creation from both the news and the entertainment channels. So the content, getting the content on board is also not so much of a problem. It is just that the inventory that is available is not fully utilized, because despite having a number of partners on board, we're not able to bring down that 15% of ads which is not utilized today. Despite playing around with the rates and everything, it just doesn't seem to make sense.
No, what about your news website? Is it just an OTT play? You don't have a...
Yes, we do have another website which is called manoramanews.com, which is only for the display news and the video inventory of Manorama News, where the proportions are similar to what Prasad was just saying. So it's 85% display and the rest is video, that kind of thing. But there we focus on display. The video ads are there, but it's not so much. And that's a totally different kind of game. We are currently focusing on the OTT to build it up. So we hope this is the future.
Yeah. So what was the case in Dinesh's case? What was it before you all made the is it still 85-15 or is it gone up for you all? Display versus video, and or is it 60-40 now?
No. So as you know, Prasad also said, we also produce a lot of text content, more than 6,000 stories in a day. So yes, definitely for us, the story, the banner is definitely the higher side. But we do have a video, revenue from YouTube and Facebook as well.
No, I'm talking about your platform, from your own.
Correct.
Yeah.
So it should be kind of a, I guess 80 should be, because as Prasad also said, we also have a lot of text content. It's a kind of a legacy for all these publishers. So definitely video going to be a big one near future. So we are working on that area. We also have an in-house team for the video, the big team, and that's why we already have a OTT platform for the Jharkhand TV. So working on that area, definitely we will achieve more revenues as compared to display.
Okay. So Matt, you've heard these fine gentlemen. 80% is coming from display. Now, what's your perspective on this?
Oh yeah. I don't. The only point was that I think it was when Prasad mentioned that most publishers in India will now fully control a video player. So a lot of large publishers, they do run a video content player, but actually a lot of the video inventory which is created on their sites and a lot of the players are still not run by the publishers. And it's that inventory that I was referring to, where there is often quite a big revenue loss. Because usually for particularly floating formats and things like this is often an area of sites which is a bit neglected. So in Anaview's case, we're not really a content player like, I guess Brightcove or JW Player. That's not the area that we're in. We're more of a video system that lets publishers maximize more of the floating formats that they run on their sites, or the players that you'll see running on article pages, things like that. So that's although a lot of the content created there is going to be text, and a lot of the ad units are typically display, we see a lot more sites that are now running video players in this sort of in article position. And that's what I mean. A lot of that sort of inventory, there is quite a big opportunity to increase revenues because you see a lot of that traffic not being sold particularly effectively.
Yeah, so what's the experience in more developed markets like the UK in terms of, is it more developed than India in this aspect, or the US?
Yes, it is. Yeah. So in the US, you already have a lot of systems like this in place already. I mean, I guess the US was probably similar to, maybe India was similar to the state of the market in the US about 15 years ago, where everyone just used Google DFP and it was much more display driven. And then in general, video was much more of a new thing. I think India seems to be at that kind of stage at the moment.
So how do you see it evolve going forward?
Well, you just see more. You see more availability of video campaigns. Actually, there are exchanges in India that are having trouble moving video campaigns because there is not enough inventory being created in some cases. I think you're going to see more choice when it comes to programmatic as well. So you have, I mean, the Trade Desk just came to India. Then you see companies like Amazon as well. So I think it's going to, it's going to move in that direction, but it's going to probably take a few more years.
Yeah. So what advice would you give these gentlemen over here who have been a little? I think they've been a little loath to push to press their foot on the accelerator.
Well, it's going to be, the video is going to keep growing in India, and I mean, in order to sell the inventory effectively that's created, you need to have a system which you can properly control. So that's the advice really, because that's almost exactly what's happened in other regions as well.
Yeah, and then how did they benefit when they shifted in that direction?
You just see more inventory created. You see better yields because you have an auction system you can control yourself, and you see more video views as well because of the you can control the content. And
coming back to Prasad, how important, in terms of your future planning, how important is video going to play?
It's going to be a very central feature of any publisher's plan. I mean, HT is no different in that sense. But what I think, it's not so much the unwillingness to put your foot on the pedal, but it's sometimes what typically happens with the publishing system is that the choices become very binary. So it's not wanting to take your foot off the other pedal while you push hard on the video pedal is what is sort of keeping us awake, and is going to perhaps do for some time more. But increasingly, I think we are getting to a stage where we know what to do with our inventories. At least for HT, I can say that we're getting to a stage where we are evolving in the right manner, and we should be able to drive more revenue out of videos and also do better videos in the process, and therefore deliver better value to our readers and users.
Yeah, Satyajit, in terms of your Manorama News, not your OTT, because that's got, I don't think you're really monetizing Manorama News the way you all should. Correct me if I'm wrong.
So we are monetizing it in terms of the banners, but I would say that we are still losing a lot of inventory. I mean, I'm just repeating myself every time. We're losing most of the inventory that we have. It is not getting consumed by the end user.
So what about the future? What's the plan going forward?
So we are right now getting into rejigging the website, making it more user-friendly and stuff like that. So in that, we do plan to consult companies who can give us better support in terms of delivering ads there, so that the end user and we are also in a good space once this new app comes into play.
And is video going to be one of the drivers, or is it still going to be display?
It's going to be video as well.
Okay.
It's already got video, but the percentage is going to go up.
Fantastic. So Dinesh, what about you all going forward? You've got some fine tuning which has happened. How are you going to, optimize it even further?
Definitely. So we are working on that area. So that's more of, how to implement more better partners so that we can give competition to each other. Like Google is already there. So to enhance overall revenues, you need to give, partners to each other. There's more and more competition. Putting a lot of, direct campaign on that area. So definitely that's going to be happen sooner or later. But yes, for the advertiser side, we are pushing that kind of a content and a player on the right sort of a direction, like right categories. We are not bombarding, player everywhere, so that we can have a lot of views for say.
No, because I went to your site. Out of some 4 stories I saw, So on Jagran, I found only one which had a player embedded.
Yeah, so yeah, that's how we are working on that area. Right, with the right content, with the right user, and you can see a lot of views in that area. Definitely CTR will increase. That's how overall revenue will increase.
But are CTR campaigns the right way to go with videos, or is like Jahid said that it's more of campaigns, creating awareness, is CTR something?
Definitely.
Yeah.
So definitely. So that's so as Jahid also said, we already have for that one. We already have a branded campaign in that direction also. So we are running that campaign on an NEV platform as well. Sometimes now we are doing that one in past 2-3 months. We started that one. But yes, in terms of VTR, I would like to say it's working in that area. And definitely branded content works very well on that platform as well.
So you're talking about native ads, basically native content, which is something
video.
With native video, which
story. Story creation around that video and all.
Which is what Vikash is pushing a lot, which is engaging as well, which is
correct.
So what do you correct. Vikash, are you frozen or?
No, yes, I'm here. Yes.
In terms of native content, which is, I think, going to be one of the major drivers going forward. We are seeing that on our platforms.
Yeah, definitely. I think because that also gives you a lot more context, right? And I think even the platform and on the programmatic side, they're getting smarter to contextualize even the content that's being viewed and the kind of brand that's advertising it. And I think that's really where when you're combining the audience and the publisher, and the native view obviously makes it a lot more seamless. It seems less intrusive. It seems part of the platform. So definitely from a contextual and targeting point, I think it's becoming better and smarter, and the native really gives it a lot more holistic feel to it. So I think we're quite excited about how this is going to scale and how advertisers can actually use a lot more of the video inventory that's going to be created. So yeah, I think it's great to see platforms coming in. And as Matt said, even the trading desk. So I think that the trade desk with DV, with MediaMath, with everyone in the market, I think a lot more is going to happen in the next few years.
And what about what the publishers are sharing? Is that enough to excite you, or you think they should move faster and quicker and put more, what do I call it? Should they put more gas into the entire effort? Should they press the pedal even further, or is it enough?
I think the pedal needs to be in both ways, right? Because even advertisers need to believe that moving away from a YouTube, Hotstar, Facebook ecosystem, there is a lot of...
No, you don't. You actually move more towards it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Not moving away. I don't think anyone will move away because they want to be present. Like we've seen in television also. You don't... Yeah.
Yeah, you get the incremental reach from some of these. And I think, the pedal needs to be in both sides. Even the advertisers need to kind of believe in tying up with publishers and also doing it by programmatic through Outstream. I think it's starting to happen, but I think it's still early days. Lots more to happen in the coming years.
Yeah. Jahid? Jahid, are you there or have you dropped out?
No, I'm there. I think Vikash kind of covered it. See, every platform is evolving in its own space. Okay. So I think from the age-old legacy, from a content-driven, right, and to a new age-old adaptation of platform, like I think even banking is having their own challenges in terms of fractured platform integration for a seamless environment, right? So yeah, I think time will say, and it's great to see this kind of platforms which is coming and just helping publishers in their cause, because I think it's right to outsource this kind of expert work instead of all the platforms trying to do everything by themselves. And what will happen with this kind of ad tech integration is they maybe can unite the walled gardens together, which will help publishers for a larger cause. I think, yeah, that's the way to look at it.
Yeah, but do we ever see a time when HDFC will become a platform by itself, a publishing platform? Because
that's not our core. That's not our core.
Okay, you could outsource that to a third party.
Video is not our core. Monetizing video is not our core at all. That's not.
What traffic do you all get? How many million a day?
I think our overall will be what, darling? Around, I think we are hovering around 80 million a month.
80 million MAUs or monthly actives or views?
MAUs.
Wow, fantastic. So that's a large audience.
Yeah.
So you all wouldn't deploy any advertising on the platform or internal advertising?
We are governed by RBI.
You can't.
We are in a different kind of a domain. We are not a publisher domain. Yeah.
Okay. Great. Fantastic.
Something that can be and maybe something just since we are discussing, maybe how see, not for monetization, okay, but for discoverability of our product-led videos.
Yeah.
280 million who is coming on our platform. Okay, not monetization, but because finance is a hard art. It's a lot of jargons. Okay, so the jargons have to be comprehended. They have to be broken granularly, right? So if that can be done, we have a lot of videos that we are making. If it's interesting, like I think Zedo used to do in once upon a time. Zedo was there, right? So if some kind of platform which is very smooth, which integrates with my CMS and gets a good discoverability to my active users, I think why not? Yeah.
So Matthew, is there a use case solution for y'all with HDFC, or is it just going to be commercially monetizable?
I mean, it's quite a big question, really. I mean, I'd have to talk to Jayed, I think, sometime about it, to be honest. So, I mean, it's definitely not a standard case from what he's saying.
Sure. So, yeah, from my side, I've finished my perspectives. Do you have any questions from the audience? Do we have any questions? You all have any questions to ask each other? Matt, do you have any questions to put to them?
No, everything's fine from my side. I think it was Vikas that maybe made a point about publishers using a system to break down walled gardens, and that's pretty much exactly what AnaView does. So you tend to find a lot of the what you call walled garden platforms which are integrated into AnaView. The idea is to create competition between them.
Wow. So Dinesh, any last words from you on how do you see the entire landscape evolving? How do you see what you've achieved so far? How do you what do you see yourself doing in the next 6 months? What are the challenges you see facing? India is a mobile market, so it's a very strong mobile market, and I think consumption is with 5G coming in, lots of consumption is going to go up. Video is going to be the primary driver, if I'm correct, rather than just text alone. So any perspectives on that? Dinesh, have I lost you? Dinesh, can you unmute yourself? You're muted.
Sorry, Anil, I guess I lost you in between. Can you just repeat the question here?
So what I stated is that, 5G is going to come up in the next year and a half max, I think, or 2 years max, I'm saying. Video is going to be a huge driver of consumption over there. So what do you see yourself evolving into in the next year, 9 months? What changes do you see coming along in Jagran? And how do you see yourself exploiting the opportunity that's going to come up with video being consumed a hell of a lot thanks to 5G?
Yeah, definitely. That's how we started 2 years back. So, we started content in-house, and the strategy also in the big way. That's how we also have a Jagran TV online. That's jagrantv.in. And we also started because, the way in India, the mobile handset, and the data is cheap, and the Wi-Fi and everything. And after COVID, during and after COVID also, we have seen the kind of data consumption is happening. So more and more, content led, things are working on Jagran area. So display is kind of conventional. So it's from the day one, it's working fine with us. So definitely now it's a video and audio, which is.
Well, I know that's general. What do you see yourself doing specifically going forward?
Yeah, so Jagran is working on that area, as I said. So on the branded content, on the video side, we are spending a lot of money, and for that we need to to put on in terms of monetization. So definitely we are working on the monetization front because we already have a lot of content. The cost is also there, and CDN and all these areas to get up, from the costing side. You can say on the P&L side also. We have to work on the monetization side. So for monetization, we are working on that Google and the partnership campaign, partner like HDFC or any other, for working, different, you can say branded content for them. So the more is more work required in terms of monetization. So monetizing, not that the cost is already involved in making content for videos, and definitely the cost of CDN and all. streaming cast and all.
No, but do you see it
That's
scaling up
how-
even further? By how much? How much do you see?
Yeah, in terms of monetization, definitely. We have a plan to kind of 3-4 times fold, you can say, in next 6 months. Because in India, it's kind of, this is a kind of event now. The coming 3 months and definitely Q4 is going to be big.
Okay. What about Satyajit and Prasad?
I think from my perspective, I think the next 6 months would be very focused on content discovery and content curation. I think the creation happens. Some of it is lack of curation, some of it is poor discovery. So I think this fiscal at least would be very focused on content curation and content discovery, and we believe that that would in itself resolve some of our impending issues. While of course we work on other avenues to optimize and monetize, and we work with better analytics, more ad partners. So that is a parallel process that's happening, right? But I think our focus clearly will be on better curation and driving better discovery.
Not in terms of optimization of revenues, or that's also going to be a play?
That's a parallel process, that's happening. But as soon as I start putting more inventory, it sort of gives you an exponential dividend. Otherwise, the growth is going to be very, very linear. So at some point, I've got to drive discovery on my platforms for videos and make extremely brand safe content to get enough advertisers interested. So curation and discovery are the two focus areas, while we work on, of course, optimizing, getting more ad partners on board, working more closely with analytics, tools to share that data with our advertisers and so on.
What about alternative ad tech platforms? Is that something which you're open to, or that's something which is, or you have tie-ins with regular partners in the past which forbid you from getting out of those?
No. So we have some regular partners. We are looking at new partners. I think HT in that sense is one of the places where we're running small experiments all the time. And if you see our different platforms within the group, you'll see that the user experience on each platform is very different, because perhaps you're running a POC, different POC on a different platform, right? So we're also experimenting, but I think you'll see the user experience significantly improve in video discovery and optimization significantly improve in the next 6 months.
Fantastic. Satyajit?
So we are spending mostly on content creation from our side. This is not for the ad bits, this is for our content, because the more content that we create, the better engagement with the end user. We also are moving into a space where even for the ManoramaNews.com, we are moving into a more video-led space. So in that sense, we assume that the future is going to be all video-led, and the ad integrations that you were talking about right now, they happen parallelly. We are creating apps where it is much easier for partners to integrate. So it's like an SDK integration, and they can do it fully. So it's not, I feel the partners should be focusing more on delivering both quality ads and in terms of integrating and closing the gap between the inventory available and the end user clicking to watch a video.
So you're open to working with other ad tech platforms also?
We are open to it. Yes. We have a lot of partners. We are still open to other partners.
Fantastic. And Jahid, and we've got Jahid, from your perspective, where do you see yourselves going in the next 6 months in terms of as advertisers? Do you see more money being pumped into digital, more money being pumped into digital video? Do you see more native coming in? Do you see, and then how do you see this marketplace evolving and responding to your needs?
I think, see, digital obviously as an overarching umbrella is growing significantly, right? Like 30 to 40% year on year. And within digital video-led content consumption is one very key aspect that we are very focused on. Okay. Now it can be long format and it can be shorter format. Okay. Both will have its own agenda, own measurement metrics and success metrics, and it will drive its own success metrics. But I think video is, as you rightly said, with the advent of 5G even today, okay, I think video is one key parameter that we cannot ignore. We have to kind of ensure that video, along with a combined vernacular and with personalized element, like let's say, can I personalize on the fly geography versus demogs, other demogs of male, female? Okay, if that's the way to go ahead, yeah.
Okay, Vikash, your partners, a lot of startups. You work with a lot of startups and you build. So, what is their mantra?
Yeah, I think video. I think if you're in the digital space today and you're trying to build a brand, definitely video is part of the mix in different forms and shapes in different sort of formats. And I think definitely
6 months. Where do you see it going? Do you see it multiplying 5 times, twice, thrice, and with 5G coming in? And what message would you give the publishers?
Yeah, I think, overall the digital market is growing at about 45% in a year. And I think video is probably growing at least 2.5 times that. So, definitely looking at doubling the video piece, at least from our perspective, that's what we're looking at, both from a video content creation and obviously amplifying it in multiple channels. So I think definitely in the next 6 months, I would say there is potential to double up from where you are today. And that's what many of our advertisers are looking at.
Fantastic. Any last words from Matthew? Matthew, are you there? Matthew? I think I lost Matthew. Okay, last words from you all before we close the panel. Thank you. You've been very, very cooperative and very insightful. Prasad, any last words before we wrap it up?
Thank you for having me on the panel. It's been very interesting to listen to everyone, especially Jahid and Vikas. Always good to have a perspective from the other side.
Yeah, Satyajit. Yeah, Satyajit.
Thank you very much for having me on this panel. And yeah, I benefited from everything that everybody else had shared as well.
Dinesh?
Thanks, Anil, for having me on the panel. And thanks, Zahid, Vikas, Prasad, and Satyajit for that lot of insights and all.
And Vikas?
So thanks for having us, Anil. And I think hopefully we gave the other perspective from the other side. So hope that helped.
Yeah. And Matthew, has he gone? I think we've lost Matthew.
I think Matthew is overloaded with suggestions. He has gone to implement them right away.
No, I think I'll just wait for a second to see if he's... Soumitra, can you check if Matt is coming back? Because we need to wrap it up. Otherwise, if he's not.
Sure, just check. Zahid, last few words.
Yeah, I think heard a great perspective from the other side today, Dinesh, Satyajit, Prasad, and obviously kind of along with Vikas, just try to put our side to it. I think this is that's a partnership that we have to always be in, which will give us a success story. Yeah. So thanks for this whole session.
Matt has a solution which I think could work with some. It's working well with Jagran. I don't know if the other players will adopt it. I think they should start looking at it, especially giving the stamp that Dinesh has given it. Any problems you faced with the solution that they offered you, Dinesh? Dinesh, any problems you faced?
Sorry?
Any problems you faced with the solution ANI offered you?
Not as far, because as I said, we already have a team, so they are utilizing that.
No, but did you face any integration problems?
Not as of now.
Not as
of now. Seamless integration, yeah.
Fantastic. So there's something y'all can learn from Dinesh and share from Dinesh. He's actually seen a great return on his investment through AnyView. Matthew, we were actually waiting for you to come back. They all gave their last words. Your last words.
Right. Okay. Well, no. Thank you. Thank you all very much for the time as well. I mean, one thing we've noticed in AnyView is about 2 years ago, we had, practically no business at all in India. Now we're probably seeing hundreds of millions of impressions daily served through our platform. To all the biggest OTTs and websites in India. So we still see very consistent problems that we've been speaking about during this webinar, particularly relating to inventory loss and low yields, things like this. So hopefully as we go forward, we can work with more of you.
Yeah, so that's what I suggested to them, that you have any special packages for these folks? Any special deals?
Well, AnyView is available as a free trial, so it's It's
No,
free.
any integration advice, any extra consulting which you could offer them?
Oh, right. Okay. No, it's a very straightforward integration, really. So, I mean, we have a team that set the whole system up. I mean, they've integrated the platform across thousands of sites. So it's really very, very simple to actually implement and get started. But it's possibly a system which is not, this kind of system is probably not so widely used around India at the moment. So we usually work in a similar kind of way to how we started with Jagran. We'll usually operate the platform to begin with, and then gradually they will take it over. But there is no really special integration advice to offer. It's just JavaScript code integrations, and then it can just connect in with whatever advertising infrastructure is already being used.
So our company is actually starting to integrate AnyView, Indian Television Group. I believe Naeem's working with your teams. So we could be another proof of concept, depending on the kind of returns we get on after integrating the AnyView system in our platform. Thank you very much, all of you all. And thank you for introducing us to AnyView, by the way, Matt and your team in India. It's been a pleasure talking with you all. And thank you to the audience. We had about some 600 people listening in. I hope it leaves an impact across the universe about video and its monetization potential, the problems, the solutions. It's been a pleasure listening to all of you all. Thank you very much. Have a great evening. And until we meet again, goodbye from Anil Banwari. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks everyone.